Oh right, yeah. So the Roadster, when you order, you like have to pay the full price, which is $250,000, which I paid for like 5, 6 months ago. Just and when you order it, it's literally you just send them money. You don't even choose the car, you don't choose the color, you don't choose any upgrades on it, nothing. You just send them the money, and they go, okay, we'll let you know when we're gonna start making it.
Go buy Tesla stock. Yes, yes. Go buy Tesla product. Hey, amazing. And when I get my Roadster, I'm gonna come up and we're gonna do something. I'm like the first 5 rides I get in this Roadster, so I'm really happy.
But,
Only after you asked him, like, dude, you got to pay.
Only after I told him, like, seriously, like, bro, like, I don't know if I could pay my rent this month because I was relying on one situation to basically help me move into a new place, which is literally what
my God.
it was. And then he was arguing with me about giving me the money. And he was
So
like,
wait. Were you offered money by the advertising, the fake advertising? Oh.
Yeah, I was offered money.
How much money did they offer to pay you?
It was $2,500.
So they offered you $2,500, and then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm not even paying you.
Occasionally I make videos talking about some of the most popular YouTubers, and it's mainly for bad reasons. And today I do want to talk about bad things to do with these popular YouTubers. Now, I want to talk about YouTubers being awful, exploitative, capitalist bosses. And there's like various degrees of how bad these people are. Some just have like one-off instances. Others have like more than one person coming out against them, talking about how they treated them while they worked for these people. And I'm going to get into different reasons why. 2 of these people love Elon Musk, so are they just inheriting, you know, awful treatment of the workplace by a big personality like Elon Musk? Or are they just young kids who really don't understand the power they have over people, and essentially going from a teenager to an extremely wealthy young man without having a real experience of, you know, the real world? How does this affect someone's mindset, especially when there seemingly is no consequences for your action? Before we get any further, a lot of my work on this channel is demonetized because when you're covering more serious, sometimes edgier topics, YouTube doesn't like this. So if you've ever enjoyed my work, please consider becoming a patron. And you don't have to pledge a crazy amount. I want to build up my Patreon based on as many people as possible pledging little amounts, like $1 or $2. So if, you know, you feel like I have ever brought anything that's worthwhile into your life and my content, please really consider becoming a patron to help me continue to do this regardless of if YouTube monetize or not most of my videos in a given month. Also, if you want to join our communities, come check out our Discord and my subreddit. Those links in the description. And if you want to follow me personally, please check out the Kavernacle at Twitter, at Instagram, and also my personal Reddit, where you can keep up to date with all my content and what I'm doing. We're chugging along to 35k. Help me get a new chocolate orange for the pyramid. I notice this is the wrong way, but for every single 5k we get a new one of these. I don't think there'll be any more white ones left. But also, if you want to watch me live stream, I live stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I archive those streams and put them on the Kavernacle Extra. That is my second channel. So I wanted to start with David Dobrik, who is obviously like a very, very popular YouTuber who was a Viner, but he's basically gone silent over the past couple months because of multiple allegations of awful treatment, and there's of course real, you know, worse stuff in there as well. But I want to focus on like the boss power dynamic. Now, this guy has constantly shilled for Tesla cars, and he seemingly is also a very big fan of Elon Musk, getting so excited that Elon Musk tweeted him back after doing a really stupid prank. So here's just a little montage of how much this guy loves Tesla cars.
Like a toy?
Like a toy. Put the key in my pocket. I'm walking to the car. Boom.
Wow.
Door opens for me.
Automatically.
Automatically. I sit down. I hit the brake. Door shuts.
So I put it in ludicrous mode, and if I hold it down, it does this fun little thing. There it is. Boom. Light speed.
No!
Yeah.
No, you didn't! That's why I wanted you to come here.
You got it?
Get in the seat.
This is yours?
Yeah.
Press the button. Remote?
Press the button.
This guy's in your car.
Come on.
What?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy
A couple months ago, I tweeted this on my Tesla, and Elon Musk responded to it with an exclamation point. And I got so excited that my friends went ahead and turned his tweet into a neon sign right on my bedroom wall.
But David Dobrik is an insanely wealthy individual, one of the biggest YouTubers, but has multiple investments in other businesses like many of these massive YouTubers do. But now I want to talk about the boss part, right? So it is linked to all these allegations of him treating people really badly. But basically, there was a guy called Seth, and you guys might have seen this guy going around giving interviews about his time working with David, who was tricked 2 times into kissing a man, another member of David Dobrik's little YouTube gang. And he talked to H3H3 about not being compensated for his work. Now, before we get into that, I know a lot of people don't think like YouTube is legitimate work, and YouTube's my primary source of income right now, and it is enough to get by and everything, but often people think it's like a privilege or a hobby, and it can be lots of those things. But for example, myself, I put in like at least 35 hours a week into making videos and live streaming. I treat it like a real job. I put the hours in like a real job. Lots of people do. But also, if you are a channel that is way bigger and you're going to get people on to feature on your videos as talent, because that is often how it works, or some sort of contributor, you should be paying them. So a good example for me is Arsenal Fan TV is like a big football fan channel. And I didn't think they did do this, but apparently they pay people who come on for the fan cams or who are regular contributors to that. Other channels that get people on like this, I think usually pay them as well. But David Dobrik, who throws around money like it's nothing, buys his friends loads of stuff, seemingly could not pay this Seth guy without being harassed multiple times by him to pay the money he was owed. Again, this is a guy who is absolutely loaded, and not only that, throws the money around like he doesn't care about it. So here is a couple clips from H3H3's podcast where Seth specifically talks about the payment and the work angle.
Also, you know, being a person that's not just, you know, a character in the videos, like helping, you know, just be a comedic support to everything. Like, I'm also behind the scenes, like legitimately setting up his video content that is too much for him to handle, like helping him.
Was he paying you at any point for that work?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it started off like I wasn't charging anyone for, you know, helping people set up their videos, doing casting for anyone's projects. Time is so booked that I'm like, yo, David, like, I need you to pay me to do this. I can't just, you know, I can't even just do this for like a YouTube plug or a shout out or anything like that. Like, I actually need capital to keep this going. You know, hassle someone about, you know, $400 or $500, you know, when they have millions of dollars, is just, you know, at some point you're just like, okay, this isn't worth it, even if you are a star. It's, you know, setting all this up. Like, he did compensate my time for that video. But
only after you asked him, like, dude, you got to pay.
Only after I told him, like, seriously, like, bro, like, I don't know if I could pay my rent this month, because
they offered you $2,500, and then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm not even paying you.
Yeah,
that's not even that much.
Oh, he can definitely afford $2,500. He's very wealthy. He makes a lot. That video had 10 million views.
Right.
Yeah, which I'm sure he made, and if he partnered with Jack Links, you know, he probably made like 50 to 100 grand off of that video.
Absolutely flabbergasted that he tried to stiff you out of that money. That's just.
And I literally had to grab him, and I was like, bro, like, I can't walk. If I walk out of here and you don't send me that money, I will literally not be able to have a home. So I have to have you, you know, compensate me for this.
That is so shocking.
I was okay with it. It was because I was in a devastated position where, you know, I was in between places to live.
When you're a guy who has that much money and this is how you treat some of your employees, I think it reveals so much. So this Seth guy did loads of work behind the scenes to start with to help you out. And then you promised him money to star in this fake advert and then pranked him. But again, you still promised him the money. And these people who work as talent, you know, they go on YouTube stuff, do social media things, that is their work. You're hiring them and getting them on because you think they'll make either a good addition to your team or they'll bring in an audience that they've created themselves. You should be compensating them. This guy shouldn't have to basically beg you for $2,500, which you owe him. That is such an awful thing to do, because we've all had those people who we've lent money to. And it gets to a point sometimes when you keep asking, they don't give it to you, you start feeling bad in a weird way for asking for the money. But imagine if these people, you know, were your boss and they had to pay you. Imagine begging your boss for money. Like, you owe me my paycheck. You can't just not pay me this month. And trying to buy him off by saying like, oh, I'll put you in the credits, man. Like, that is a worthy alternative. Well, that's going to generate him like $2,500. If this is the guy's income, you can't be messing with that. And again, it shows the power dynamic, and it shows how, I guess, the more relaxed structure of a YouTuber and how these people operate makes them feel like they can get away with this stuff, because to him, he probably sees it as like, oh, we're all friends. I'm doing you a favor by you coming on. Therefore, I just credit you in the credits of the video. I'm not actually going to pay you for your work helping to make this video. And it is really disgusting that a guy like this who throws around money is trying to basically cheap out on just paying this guy $2,500 when he'll spend hundreds of thousands on real frivolous stuff or bets with his friends and everything. And the thing with David Dobrik, what I say to my girlfriend, is it feels like he acts like a high schooler. So he clearly hasn't grown up. And it feels like when you're young and you just keep getting this success, you don't understand how to treat people properly. The power goes to your head, where you're always the center of attention. You're always the person people want to be involved with. You're the person with the money. So you don't really think about how you'd feel in that situation, because you haven't been in that situation. You can't imagine what it would be like to be in that situation. And maybe because you haven't had a massive taste of the real capitalist world, you don't realize how damaging that is and how awful that is to go begging for money, like, pay me what I'm owed. And when you're this wealthy and trying to like skirt around paying people, it says a lot and really plays into this, you know, awful boss capitalist mindset where you're trying to shaft people at such a minimum amount, but it shows so much about you that money apparently doesn't mean that much to you, but when it comes to paying people who might not be your best friends, you're trying to screw them out of it. And he literally has to, you know, follow you out the door and stop you from leaving because you haven't paid him. So now I want to get into MrBeast, and this one isn't as clear cut because multiple people have come out after working for him and saying it's not a great place to work, you know, his various businesses. Now, MrBeast is another guy who chucks money around like it's no big deal. I actually find his content really gross, to be honest. And I've made multiple videos on that and people get really funny in the comments. And I basically find his content both exploitative and I find it kind of like tasteless. I haven't even checked out his channel in like a year, but he was like spending 600K on like fireworks.
This is the most expensive firework in the entire world, and it cost me over $160,000. And everything here, we spent over $600,000 on this video, and every single firework will be launched.
And then there was this game show where you did various challenges to win $1 million, and this guy won $1 million. And basically what they did is went to his house and show how awful his living conditions were. And basically, you know, really condescendingly saying, I'm so glad you won this money because it will really help you. How can anyone like live like this?
Now we're gonna take you to Mark's house and just show you where he lives.
So this is where you currently live?
Yeah. This is my room, you know, this is where me, my wife sleep. You see, it ain't no room at all. Like,
you can't even open the door all the way.
Right. This is my little cousin's room.
Your little cousin sleeps on an air mattress?
Yeah, and he popped it, so it's flat.
Your cousin is sleeping on an air mattress that's like has a hole in it, so he's sleeping on the floor. Can I just say, I'm super glad you won the $1 million. I really am. The more you show us around, the more I'm like, thank God you won the $1 million. The more you show us around, the more you show us around, the more you show us around, the more I'm like, thank God you won the $1 million.
Also, he makes this guy spend the million in 24 hours. And that seems pretty ridiculous when you're trying to show, like, oh, audience, feel bad for this guy because of his living conditions. And now we're going to really sensationalize him winning $1 million by forcing him as part of the YouTube challenge to spend it all in 24 hours for our video, which will probably make more than $1 million and make us more money. So this isn't even a big deal.
From you is a signature right here. The vehicles are yours.
You better not read it. You're a millionaire. You ain't got time to read.
It feels exploitative. I don't like the way they throw money around, but recently there's been allegations by his staff that have come out about, you know, him not necessarily being a good boss. The New York Times wrote an article called MrBeast YouTube star wants to take over the business world. So this guy is also 22. David Dobrik's 24. This guy's 22. So I think a lot of the same problems will reveal itself. But this guy also loves Elon Musk. So the New York Times saying that he said, "I really want to be Elon one day," referring to Elon Musk, the chief executive of Tesla. Mr. Donaldson later listed Mr. Musk as his dream collaborator. So it's not really surprising that people who often do this ridiculous shit are often Elon Musk fans. I've never met like a good Elon Musk fan. So just like David Dobrik, MrBeast has multiple massive side projects that generate a lot of money for him, different YouTube channels, different business ventures. So of course his workforce has grown. So the New York Times reporting, business as usual in Greenville, many went to work for Mr. Donaldson because of the philanthropic nature of his videos, said 11 people who worked for him, 4 of whom asked to remain anonymous because they'd signed confidentiality agreements. While he was sometimes generous, they said, his demeanor changed when the cameras weren't around. They described a difficult work environment. Matt Turner, 20, an editor for Mr. Donaldson from February 2018 to September 2019, said Mr. Donaldson had berated him almost every day. Mr. Donaldson also called him by a phrase used to insult people with mental disabilities, Mr. Turner said, leaving him in tears. Mr. Turner, who did not grow up with Mr. Donaldson, said that while his boss regularly featured his hometown friends in videos, he had struggled to get acknowledgement. I was not credited for anything I did. I'd ask for credit and he'd credit someone else. Nate Anderson, 22, who moved to Greenville to work for Mr. Donaldson in March 2018, quit after a week over what he said were unreasonable demands. He said Mr. Donaldson was a perfectionist. Nothing ever worked for him. He always wanted it a certain way. Mr. Anderson later uploaded to his YouTube channel a tell-all video, my experience editing for MrBeast, which he said had brought death threats and hateful comments from MrBeast's dedicated fans, many of whom are children. I've actually experienced it myself. It's actually pretty hilarious how many simps there are for this guy. Mr. Turner had a similar experience. These kids don't even know what they're saying. They're just in this cult of YouTube stardom where they don't want to see their biggest creator fall. So the author of the article also writes, working for a 22-year-old YouTube star isn't going to be the most professional work environment, but if you're posturing yourself as a business leader or the next Elon Musk, you should think about the type of work culture you're creating and what you are rewarding. Well, it seems like people like MrBeast take great inspiration from people like Elon Musk in the way they treat their employees. Elon Musk has been well known to treat his employees awfully, personally busting union efforts in his own factory, purposely taking away safety features because he doesn't like them. But again with MrBeast, here is a guy who is 22 years old, 3 years younger than me, and I remember what it's like to be in like your early 20s when you're a bit more naive. But he made insane success of silly YouTube videos, and then they transitioned into these ridiculous stunts where he throws money around. And you think this guy is really going to be a nice person to work for, even if he was like a nice person to start with. This stuff all goes to your head. Becoming one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet, one of the most wealthy people at your age probably, who's made their money through this stuff, and you think this guy's going to treat people ethically, and it's all about, you know, this dude bro, tech bro, entrepreneurial mindset where it's about like stepping on people to get to the top. Elon Musk is obviously, you know, emblematic of that. But I think it translates to these younger people as well, and I feel like they just don't understand the power dynamics they have, because even just between boss and employee, there is a huge, you know, imbalance of power there. You know, I've had an awful boss at my job, and how they can make you feel and like ruin your life and ruin like your mental health and stuff is a power only someone with the position who can control your paycheck has. But then add to that, this guy is also insanely wealthy and famous. That power imbalance goes up even further because there's just really no accountability. He's like the CEO and the boss at the same time. And as someone who's had a CEO as their boss, it is the worst position to be in, because the guy you complain to or the guy you answer to should not be the person who pays your salary, really, if you're working in this more like office-like environment. And I probably assume there's no like HR, not that HR ever does a good job, but there's probably no protections to this guy. And a lot of them signed confidentiality agreements, so they can't actually speak up afterwards. And I'm sure, you know, because of this guy's rabid fan base as well, if you speak out, it might be hard to get employed in the YouTuber influencer industry again. So why this guy wasn't paying them badly, by all accounts, no one's complaining about the pay here, he is treating them badly. And he either doesn't realize the power he has over these people, or it's because he's just quickly from a young age jumped into this wealthy elite world. He's really had nothing to tell him to stop. We see this with Donald Trump, right? Someone who's had privilege their whole life. He just thinks he's the smartest in the room. He thinks he's the man, basically, because no one's told him no. No one's told him he can't do things. And when you're this young and you're making this kind of money and you're having this kind of influence, it's of course going to damage, you know, your own perception of reality. So I'm not really surprised both these people treat their employees badly. But it also goes to like the public image stuff and the cult of personality, how that helps them sanitize and whitewash this stuff. Because the MrBeast on camera and the David Dobrik on camera is nothing like this. It's not a guy who will shaft you for a small paycheck. It's not a guy who might berate you and say something like offensive to people with mental health problems. Before we get to the overall conclusion, here is another guy who's also been like forced off social media currently for other scandals. But recently he's also getting sued for bad, you know, practices in the workplace, and that is James Charles. And it's funny how this is all coming out like at the same time about these three YouTubers. So insider reporting, Charles's former producer and creative director, Kelly Rockleen, is speaking about her lawsuit against him, alleging wrongful termination, disability discrimination, failure to provide reasonable accommodation, and failure to pay minimum wage for overtime hours. Rockleen is 26 and was 23 when she worked for Charles for about 6 months in 2018. She told Insider that the story behind her lawsuit and why she now feels she can speak publicly about her experience working for Charles. While Rockleen said she initially wanted to settle with Charles privately, she said he and his legal representation declined to settle during early conversations in 2019, indicating they would prefer to litigate the dispute in private arbitration. In March 2020, Rockleen filed her complaint in LA County Superior Court. Charles declined to comment on Rockleen's claims to Insider and denied all her claims, so that's important to remember. He's denied this, it's an ongoing lawsuit, it's not totally conclusive yet, through his attorney in response to the complaint. In a video he posted to Twitter on May 10th, Charles accused Rockleen of taking her story to the media in an attempt to publicly pressure him into a higher settlement. Charles questioned why Rockleen spoke now after a legal dispute that had been going on for 2 years. In response to Charles's video, Rockleen's attorney told Insider that the reason the case has taken so long is because of Charles's legal team's attempt to compel arbitration and their subsequent appeal when arbitration was denied by the court. Rockleen says she's hoping to set a public precedent for how influencers treat employees, and she's in the process of litigation to be compensated for unpaid wages she says were withheld from her, along with damages, penalties, attorney fees, and interest from the 3 years since Rockleen was fired. Rockleen said she worked 80 hours a week, 80 hours or more, and wasn't paid overtime at minimum wage. But in a perfect world, Rockleen said she still worked for Charles. She described a long-term vision of her role on his team to Insider, as well as what she believes led to everything falling apart. Rockleen told Insider that Charles's long-time employees and friends don't speak up against him publicly, hold him accountable in person because they're birds of a feather and all want something they can obtain by remaining in Charles's good graces. So 80 hours is just an insane amount to work. Like, I used to do 40-hour weeks on top of like a 15-hour commute. Can't imagine doing like nearly another 30 hours on top of that, because she says sometimes she worked longer than 80 hours, and she alleges he wouldn't even pay overtime based on minimum wage. So I'm assuming she's also making minimum wage. So here's another rich guy, allegedly, that is making millions and millions and still can't pay his employees right, while also treating them poorly as well. Now, these three people are all in their 20s. And nearly all of them, although they might have had, you know, smaller jobs when they were younger, they haven't had to experience like real life as a normal person. They haven't had to grind at a normal job for years. A lot of them probably haven't really experienced this power dynamic at work, because a lot of you might like your boss at work, but we all know it just takes one bad promotion of someone over you to totally ruin your life. And these guys don't seem to realize that. And I also think the fame and the money, just like with many celebrities, has totally got to their head. But the difference is YouTuber as like a business model or something, it is very different in the sense that these guys are celebrities like actors, but they're also, you know, like CEOs and business people, like conventional business people. So it's like a weird mixture. And while you have people like Elon Musk who sort of transcend the business world into like mainstream culture, these guys are kind of doing both as well, where like people love these guys. People love James Charles. People love David Dobrik. They love MrBeast, just like they love Elon Musk. These are people they will defend no matter what. All this stuff comes out about all of them, and you're always going to have a hardcore fan base. And in the case of these 4 people, including Elon Musk, that is a massive fan base. And that's why these guys don't seem to be accountable to anyone in terms of how they treat people. And it's easy for these guys, especially as YouTube personalities, to present themselves a certain way. And also to talk about the YouTube angle a bit more, YouTube and YouTube production and YouTube figures, they have this sense of being real. When you watch a YouTuber, you feel like you're watching a person. It's not like a film where you know you're watching an actor. You guys are watching me right now, and you think, this is the Kavernacle. This is what he is like. This is what he speaks like. This is how he talks to people. This is his politics, and I know him. I'm a pretty genuine person, and I feel like I always try to present myself the way I actually am. But you guys don't know that for certain. I could be a horrible person in private. I could treat people really badly. If I became someone's boss, if someone starts working for me on this YouTube channel, I could be horrible in that capacity as well. And there's no way you would know that. And if someone came out against me saying I treated my employees badly, then I'm going to have a certain element who won't believe that because they like me, but they also feel like they know me personally and feel like I would never do that. And that's the difference with this celebrity element. If it's just like a cold case against like a random CEO, we tend to side with the employee because we know the power dynamic there. But when the employer is also a celebrity on a platform that is very personal, we are more inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt and take their side. But also in this instance, these are guys who have fallen into fame and success and might not understand how to actually handle a workforce or handle personal relations with employees because they've never had that experience. And on top of it, they just might not be nice people. They might lack empathy. They might be totally obsessed with their own image. They might be totally obsessed with just their own fame. And the reason someone like David Dobrik might shaft someone like Seth out of money, it's not because he technically cares about giving away money, but to him, he doesn't want to like waste the money on people he feels like he doesn't actually have to pay. It's not really about like the value of that currency he's handing over. It's more about what he feels is like worth paying for. And throwing money around to his friends, that's all fun and games and you like your friends and stuff. But giving money to this Seth guy who I feel like didn't do a great job or something, that's not really on. And I feel like because it's more of a casual relationship, I can try and shaft him out of the money. But I'm extremely sympathetic to employees of people, whether that's MrBeast, David Dobrik, James Charles, or Elon Musk, who are brave enough to come out, because it is so much harder when these guys have a cult of personality and rabid fan bases who will not only attack you, but will feel like these guys can do no wrong. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are there any more examples of YouTubers just not being good bosses and just being greedy, exploitative capitalists, just like their idol Elon Musk? If you want to follow me on social media, at the Kavernacle on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to come join our communities, Discord and subreddit, that's in the description. If you want to support my work on Patreon, that is also in the description. And if you made it this far, thank you all for watching.